It is For the Love of Wrestling. The Flow Show is back. Quincy Jones, go. Of course, Brian Andrew, what is good, sir?
How's it going?
I'm good. I mean, I will say, I'm getting this weird feeling, and not that that feeling of excitement that you usually get for Mania season, that road to WrestleMania. Because correct me if I'm wrong, man. Like Mania is looking weird this year, right?
It's extremely awkward. To be honest, it's just as awkward probably as when they were doing the nobody in attendance WrestleMania a couple years ago, when you're just like,
Yeah,
I'm not
true.
I was like, I don't know, like I like the matches, but I'm not feeling this. And it's a little different this year, where it's like I'm not a big fan of the matches,
Well, I mean,
but
yeah,
it's interesting.
From what I hear, first of all, there's a lot of going on, because I'm getting a lot of different stuff where it's like,
Mhm.
the creative team right now is literally being told like they have like this, free reign to pitch anything, like nothing's out of the box or off the table. Like, not to say they're gonna do it, but you can pitch it. Like, it's like the example the person used was, if they want Lyndon McMahon to face Stone Cold Steve Austin, they could pitch it. I'm like, that's no, don't, no, wait, hold on. Like,
Right, yeah.
so and I say that because you may have saw like some of the news coming in about Pat McAfee having Vince McMahon on his show, and supposedly this is leading to some sort of angle that they're going to be setting off on the show, I guess. Which I was already excited that Vince was going to be on the show, because I was like, oh, he's going to, hit 1 million like easy. You know what I mean? That Brock one,
Right.
because I was joking to my brother. I was like, watch, I bet you he's going to get Vince on there, because he's going to watch that interview and say, damn, this guy got more charisma out of Brock in 1 hour than I got out of him his entire career.
Yeah.
And then be like, and then next thing I know, Vince McMahon's on there. And then I hear, yeah, he loved the Brock segment so much he wanted to be on the show. I'm like, that's insane. But now to hear this, like a start of an angle, I was like, man, what are we doing? Like, are we pulling out all the big guns right now? Like, you guys are looking kind of desperate right now for some reason. This isn't another Saudi show, is it?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
weird because like it feels like we haven't even really booked a match that doesn't either have a part-timer or a celebrity in it.
not true, because there's already going to be Johnny Knoxville and
Oh,
Sammy, and then
right.
there's like the Logan Paul, the
Mhm.
Miz versus the Mysterios. So it's like a bunch of celebrities are getting involved here.
Yeah, so like that's all it's been. And I
And of course the title for title, but that we could talk about that later.
like, to be honest with you too, I'm intrigued enough, but I'm intrigued because this could become like the most dumpster fire WrestleMania of all time, or it could be one of the most
Yeah.
entertaining WrestleManias of all time.
I mean, on paper, because I'm trying to figure out what they're doing with Seth Rollins. I mean, supposedly the Vince thing with Pat is supposed to be not a match between them two, but I guess supposedly leading to Vince picking Austin Theory to face Pat McAfee. And I mean, okay,
They don't have to do that. I'm sure Pat, and like,
yeah. I mean, good for
maybe,
Pat. You know what I mean?
maybe Pat
But
picks his own proxy because
yeah,
Vince didn't.
I was thinking maybe something like that too. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, they want to give him a WrestleMania moment. I mean,
it's kind of
it's crazy when you think about
yeah.
it, and then of course there's this rumored Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kevin Owens on the table, supposedly.
So let's break that down, because
Yeah. Because I think we know what that's gonna be, right? Like,
it's less about Stone Cold and more about Kevin Owens, I feel like, because you have these two, they're actually in a pretty decent feud with RK Bro right now. And we would think that they would put on a decent WrestleMania match if they did RK Bro versus Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens for the tag titles, right? Because you would think you need a decent tag title match. And that so far
I don't know, because you know how Vince feels. I mean, dude,
right, yeah.
He just took that championship match off the Elimination Chamber.
But right, yeah. But if you're gonna give us maybe AJ Styles versus Edge, and then you're gonna give us Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold, and then maybe Cody versus Seth, then obviously that's a much better card. And then maybe
Cody versus Seth, I never thought about that.
So
I never thought. I mean, and I don't know. Like I said, I when I heard about the Cody thing, I just said to everybody, until I see his face on WWE TV, I'm not going to believe anything else.
I,
You know what I mean? I can't. You know what I mean? There's nothing.
with the Kenny Omega stuff and some stuff that I've heard from Tony Khan.
Yeah.
I've been a little bit more like, you know what? I could see Cody saying, you know what? If I'm not going to be able to have creative direction, I might as well just go get paid.
Well, I mean, but
And
well, I guess in the sense of, well, if I can't get what I'm gonna get here and not get creative direction, then I might as well go get what I want to get somewhere else. Yeah, I mean, and there's only one other company in town that's going to be able to pay him or want to pay him.
and I'm sure he could have temporarily a decent creative direction with him. Like, keep in mind, like, this is WrestleMania season. There's a month or so before WrestleMania, so Vince will probably at least green light creative direction for a month or two, which it happens at the best part of the year. So Cody
that's true.
So Cody gets his creative direction and then after that, if the WWE can't keep it up, because I think I remember when the Young Bucks and Cody and Kenny Omega and all them, before they started AEW, I believe the WWE offered them contracts, and from what I remember, they were given creative direction, and if they were unhappy with the direction that the WWE gave them, they could opt out of their contract within 6 months.
It was like unheard of. It was like these special exceptions they were making, and I mean, I don't know if that's something that they would offer Cody. I mean, because I feel like, I don't know, it's weird because we know what Vince thinks of him, right? But I know Nick Khan's the one who was showing the interest in him specifically. But I the interesting thing about this, because we were just talking about Pat too. I guess Pat McAfee had some interesting things to say about Cody Rhodes. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I'm
gonna paraphrase, but he was just like, I could see why he wanted to leave AEW or something, or he wanted to leave WWE. I mean,
he was like basically saying, oh, like they try to go to war and we beat them a few times. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you guys beat them.
I think AEW won Wednesday nights, not only because they moved to Tuesdays, but I think literally on paper, 85 to 90% of the nights were won by AEW or something like that.
Yeah. So that's why it's funny to be like, hey, and don't forget, we beat you 20% of the time, pal. So you better watch your ass. Like,
and they all had to be specials, right? I think maybe there was
probably like the takeovers, right? Yeah,
maybe one or two regular episodes of NXT actually won out in the ratings. I think that they all had to be like the Halloween Havocs and stuff.
Oh like where they had the TV pay-per-views, right? Where they had like the Great American Bashes and shit. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was weird because I was like thinking, I'm like, because when my brother just told me about that last night as well. And when I heard that, I was like, man, that sounds like he knows something or he's talking, because the way he was trying to clean it up after, I was like, that sounds like you were trying, you were commenting on something that you weren't supposed to be knowing or talking about a little bit. You know what I mean? Because it was just because in other words, I'm thinking, why else would you be saying or talking reckless about what is potentially the newest, biggest signing for WWE, especially for someone that's like, again, Nick Khan, the one who has a special interest in trying to get the signing done. I'm like, why would you publicly say this, on your show? Like and then I was like, he's talking like he keeps forgetting, like he's like, oh, I'm on my show, but I keep forgetting that I gotta curb my enthusiasm, so to speak, because I'm reflective of a WWE employee. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's like,
but maybe because I feel like they threw those references to Cody Rhodes on Raw this week.
Yeah, Miz was like, he's dashing. I was like, oh, jeez.
And maybe Vince McMahon is trying to see like, well, all right, indie guy. Like, let's see if people pick up on people talking about you and see if people care.
Yeah, how they react, right? To see
because if people don't care, then
interest. If
people don't care, you're going to be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
Well, everybody keeps already joking, like, we're just gonna put him back in the bodysuit and the paint. I'm like, oh geez. I'm like,
I don't see, like, that's what I say. I think Cody would be going into this like, all right, I'll sign a 6 month to 1 year contract. If you let me down in that 6 months to 1 year, then I'm out again. I'll do New Japan, maybe the rebranded ROH for a bit, and then he'll go to AEW in a couple years when he'll get that pop. I think I was talking to some friends about it. In my opinion, Cody Rhodes just wants the pop. He wants the heat of coming back to AEW. I think this is what this is all about. He realized he was getting stale, and he was just like,
well, I mean, it's an interesting situation because of the fact that when I weigh both sides of it, because I get it. Like, Cody is worth a certain amount at a point, but then in that 2 years, because of the way that they were featuring him and kind of how he featured himself, and also the way public opinion swayed, his stock kind of went down. So it doesn't, reflect why he should continue paying him that much, which I can understand from a business point on Tony's end. So it's like, the way that, especially when they're talking about, they couldn't come to terms on an agreements with money, right? And it's like, well, I guess he's like, well, if I'm gonna take a pay cut, I should at least still get creative. I can't get creative, so it's like,
yeah, I can see the frustration, and
but there was also a lot of things, because I guess, like, he bought a bus, and everybody kind of looked at it as him kind of like isolating himself, which, basically he's kind of like, creating that bad perception inadvertently for himself.
I think I said this from the beginning, but I just assumed that he had more say in the company than what it turned out to be toward the end. And I was saying this at the beginning, I was like, why is he getting the special entrance? Why does it seem like and then eventually he got on this Cody Island, or the Cody verse, like how Kenny Omega put it. It's just like,
true.
Why is he not putting X person over? Or why is it that it feels like he's always putting people over so he could say, like, it seems he would hate this if he heard it, but like, it's very Triple H or John Cena of him to say, like, because we don't get frustrated that they don't put people over. We get frustrated when they specifically at a certain point didn't put somebody over.
Yeah.
Like John Cena with Nexus. Yeah, John Cena lost to Roman Reigns and did all these things.
No, you're right. Like, there's certain times where you're like, dude, you should have done the right thing. Like, that was the moment. That was the time. Because like same thing with, like, there was like just anybody with a missed opportunity, right? Or maybe who had a rocket strapped to him, or it was, the public response was like super high. Like guys like, I know he's not everyone's favorite, but like Ryback, Braun Strowman, those are kind of guys like that. And it's like Cody, like, it's almost like he was trying to be like, oh, if I put people over, it's going to be strategic. And it was like a little see-through a little bit, like he was protective, right? But it's also kind of like, hey, but don't forget I put that guy over. You know what I mean? It was like kind of just so he can say he did it. You know what I mean? But I don't know the guy. I'm not going to pretend I know the guy. You know what I mean? I am a fan of his work. I mean, for me, I was very surprised that this was even real news. It was like bizarro world when I was reading everything, and there was just this swell. I
thought it was a work for.
I mean, a lot of people, and you know what? For everyone that's like shitting on everyone thinking it's a work, dude, it's not. This is the shit that works are kind of like made of. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, at first, it's first of all, it's professional wrestling. You're not even thinking what all the shots that this guy's taken with the sledgehammer and all that shit, golden shovel. You know what I mean?
Right.
That he would ever be invited, and things that he said, you know what I mean, in public forum and whatever. You wouldn't think that there would be like, oh, but never say never, I guess. You know what I mean? This is crazy.
And I put a tweet up when I first heard about this, was if you think Cody like overbooks his matches, he's about to overbook his career right now. Because like because I honestly thought he might go to WWE for the heat and then go back to AEW for the heat again. Does that make sense? Like, because
I thought that way he can be a heel without them turning him heel, right?
And it's just and it seems like he was a headache backstage, and like if you make it, you could easily make this point where it's just like, hey Cody, you're difficult to work with. And now we brought in CM Punk, we brought in Bryan Danielson, we brought in all these people, Adam Cole, Keith Lee, Cesaro just became a free agent this week. Like there's plenty of people that's just like, I hate to say it, but like, Cody, your spot is replaceable. To be honest, the Cody Island stuff wasn't
and that was another part of it too, as far as the money thing, because it's like, you can't, rationalize paying him the same as, because he just shelled out big money for CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, like you said, like Adam Cole just came in, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, dude, I can't just keep, because I'm interested to know what the Bucks are getting paid in comparison to him now. Maybe that's why he's like a little bit kind of pissed off about it. Who knows? But
and this is a way Tony could get rid of what would be considered a bigger contract, because it's one thing to let some of these contracts go and stuff like that probably aren't making the same, but Cody was probably making higher six figures or something like that, maybe even 7, I don't know. And then you take that contract away, so it makes it a little easier to pay CM Punk what you're paying him and stuff like that. And to throw it out there too. The Cody Rhodes promo like a month ago, maybe by now, maybe it was 2 to 3 weeks ago before the TNT title match.
Oh, it
With,
was where you had like the ladder in the ring, and everybody said it
and
was
he was
his
like,
pipe bomb. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And he was like, the stuff about CM Punk makes a little bit more sense now because maybe he was just getting out some of his frustrations of like, yeah, you guys give CM Punk a lot of credit. A, he was the highest paid guy in the company, and B, I'm pretty sure the negotiations were probably being really frustrating for Cody. And he's like, no, I'm the guy that you guys all blah 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 blah. And
I
it
mean,
I don't
yeah.
know. It's just one of those things where I could see him in 4 months go back to AEW, and I could even see him, overbooking the shit out of this, and like Tony Khan needs to throw a proxy out there and says like, Cody, you win this match, you get the money you want, you get the creative direction, blah blah blah. And I think that's a good way to make Cody a heel if this is a work, because you could say like, now that Cody on television has creative direction, he could write himself into a title picture with Adam Page.
Well, which would basically just be him like as Triple H in the McMahon Helmsley era, pretty much just running the show. You know what I mean?
And then eventually he loses a match,
and he gets to use Brandy.
10 months or 12 months from that, he has another match, and he's with AEW, but that match is to lose creative control or something like that. And
which has been done before. You know what I mean?
Right. So, yeah. And it's a different way of doing it too, because like usually it's like general manager.
I was gonna say it's usually like older retired wrestlers that are usually in there. Yeah.
But with Cody, it could be like you win this match, you could be a head booker of this company.
Yeah.
And blah 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 blah. Like I think that's a decent story, blah blah blah. But
it makes sense also because of like his lineage is, his dad being a booker, so it makes sense that he'd want to be head booker. You know what I mean? Like, there's a little.
But the timing's perfect because like I do believe it's probably every wrestler gets into the business with at least a small hint of them saying, "Man, if I can main event WrestleMania someday, that'd be awesome." And this is Cody's way with this one, because it's not like, because if Cody comes back the Raw after Mania, for example, then he needs to trust that the WWE is going to put that stock into him for an entire year so he can at least have a great WrestleMania moment the next year, right? Whereas this way, there's a month, so the WWE has less chance of messing it up, and Cody could still have a big profile match at WrestleMania, like against Edge, Seth Rollins, or
Randy. I'm thinking Randy Orton.
Randy Orton would be good.
Obviously, they got history, so.
I was before Elimination Chamber, I was even thinking if Brock Lesnar didn't win the Elimination Chamber, I would have said like, oh, whoever wins that could face Cody for the WWE Championship on night one.
And well, I mean, I was always thinking another opponent for Cody, just because it made sense on paper as being their second generation superstars, as they call them, him and Roman. They both have like roots, in wrestling as far as their families dating back, so it's like it kind of makes sense if he would be like maybe the guy. If Brock didn't, I'm not saying he's better than Brock, but if for whatever reason, Roman didn't, I don't know what they're going to do with that title versus title match, man. I mean,
according on SmackDown, it's going to unify the titles.
Really?
Yeah, they've been saying unification all night.
It makes sense because, they can just combine the field on both shows as far as contenders, instead of them looking for somebody and them trying to build someone in 3 weeks so they look strong enough to even be a threat to Roman, just so they can make them go back down the totem pole, like Cesaro, who, like you just mentioned, is a free agent. Yeah. His contract expired. He was not released. He just said goodbye.
Yeah. I thought he signed a long-term deal, but I guess it was just a 1-year deal or 1-year extension or something.
Yeah, I mean, I could, and I do want to talk more about Cesaro, but just because we're on the topic of people signing contracts, you hear about AJ Styles re-signed?
Yeah,
that was it kind of hurt my heart, because there's just like a few people I would love to see him face.
He's done a lot in his career.
That's why I felt like he's I mean, outside of winning a Royal Rumble, You know what I mean? I don't really know. He didn't main event Mania, but he had a Mania.
And you can make the case every year he's been in the company. There's at least been like rumblings of like maybe this is the year AJ wins it. You know, like he's always in the top 3 or 4 people that can win it.
And I thought he was going to win it this year.
Yeah,
I wanted him to win it this year.
So he still could. He can still. And the thing is, like, I think maybe it's the same thing with Kevin Owens. Like, this is a way that your family is taken care of, and
very true. Yeah,
just do a few more years. You've already accomplished so much. You probably wrestle like is maybe at this point being 45, he doesn't want to put on 4 or 5-star classics in AEW, but he can maybe do it once or twice a year in WWE. You know what I mean? So it's
very true. Very true.
I would like to see at the tail end of this him have at least like a 1-year AEW run. That would be. Cool.
I was thinking just so we can get like just some, because there's even matchups that he like. There's a lot of people in AEW now that were former WWE that he didn't even get to face. You know what I mean? Because they just kept them away from each other and shit. Like I don't think him and Aleister Black ever face each other, right?
Probably. Not.
I'm sorry, Malachi Black.
Probably not, unless.
And I'm thinking obviously him versus Kenny, him versus Adam Cole, him versus Moxley. I don't know if they like each other. I don't even know if they've even fought each other.
AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose.
No, they definitely fought each other for the championship.
Like the first for the 5 months on SmackDown.
Dude, yeah, they were like the new SmackDown, the new SmackDown 6, minus James Ellsworth, of course.
Right.
Didn't appreciate that. But yeah, Cesaro himself is 41. I didn't, dude, that dude looks incredible.
I did not know he like that. I didn't know he was in the company for a decade.
I mean, I remember when he first came in because he had like the lamest music, because it was just like this. I don't know, like this rap, but you couldn't understand it, and he just it was just not good. but he scooped up the U.S. title.
Yeah, but I like the character.
Yeah, I mean he was always a dope ass wrestler for me, and it's like obviously he wasn't always great at promos, but I felt like he always needed someone like when he did the Heyman thing. I thought that was going to be great for him, but hearing how it was really what it was really used for. Heyman talked about it himself. I was like, oh, that fucking sucks. You know what I mean? So pretty much, man. I don't know where he's gonna go. I think New Japan will be dope, obviously. People are thinking already AEW, but I don't know about that, because Eddie Kingston in the past and even recently, he has major heat with him, apparently. Says that in Shikara, I guess when he was on his way out to go to WWE, he was supposed to put over Eddie Kingston, but he wouldn't. So,
okay.
But he's been, anytime he's brought up, he talks like some shit. Big Swiss idiot. You know what I mean?
I feel like Eddie Kingston hates a lot of people.
But he said in the past, but before he was released, he said he better never come here. I don't know what he's doing or what his contract is. I don't pay attention to what he does, but he better never come over here. And I'm like, oh shit. And then like, so when he got released, all of a sudden he puts out the tweet. He said, all I'm going to say is this: he doesn't have the balls to come over here. I was like, so what, are you working or what? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like now it feels like you're working.
The AEW does a good job too, though, of us having no idea what Eddie Kingston's history is, and then finding ways for us to know about it mid promo or mid feud.
Yeah.
Right. So they could easily just throw the stuff in there. Cesaro versus Eddie, first match. It books itself. Like, do it at Double or Nothing. Cesaro maybe distracts Eddie during the Chris Jericho match or something. I don't know. I'm just maybe overbooking that.
I mean, how'd you feel? Speaking of which, how'd you feel about that segment they had? Did you catch Dynamite at all?
Yeah, I did, and I liked it. It's not the best Eddie Kingston versus somebody promo of probably even the year.
I mean, would I be wrong to say it's because Jericho was, I don't know, just not, I don't know, he just wasn't a great sparring partner for him.
Yeah,
I mean, he was
But
doing his
can
usual shtick, you know what I mean? And then he
I'll throw
was trying to go
yeah,
heel. I get it, but
I'll be honest with you. This is something that kind of gets me about Eddie Kingston because I do think he's brilliant. I think he's one of the he's probably maybe even the best promo in the company. But
I would argue that.
there's moments where he gets like, "Hey man, I'm not a wrestler, I'm a fighter," and "Hey man, this is wrestling, not sports entertainment."
You mean when he pulls like the hat to the from the front to the
Yeah,
back,
it's
like
just like it's kind of just like it sounds like the other promos, and you're now and from my perspective, you're not giving Chris Jericho much to work with either. Like,
well, he's over here saying like he doesn't even know him, like he never heard of him, and all this. Yeah, I thought he was talking about Eddie Edwards. I'm like, so you've heard of Eddie Edwards from Impact Wrestling?
To be honest, I forget about Eddie Edwards all the time. So
I mean, shout out to Eddie. I mean, obviously he's from
yeah,
like Ring of Honor as well. Shout out, American
yeah.
Wolves and all that. But it's like, yeah, he's not really at the top of my. When someone says name a wrestler named Eddie, I'm going Guerrero immediately, right? I mean, like and then I guess I would probably go Kingston second. Yeah, but yeah, it wouldn't be Eddie Edwards.
Right.
He wouldn't get it.
And it's just I want to sound like I'm shitting on it because I thought it was a good promo. It's probably the best Chris Jericho's looked in at least over a month, and it's Eddie Kingston did really well. It's like it's a 4 out of 5 segment. It's just I personally felt like all Eddie did was try to catch Chris Jericho off guard with some of his comments, and Chris Jericho stayed the course, accidentally said May 6th instead of March 6th at the end.
He did. Yeah, he
did. I was like, man, you guys are pushing this back to Double or Nothing.
I was like, wait, what? Man, this is long-term storytelling.
Chris Jericho going on a Fozzy tour.
I was like, so you got, I was like, you guys. Oh, I was like, let me guess. Is it the Rock and Rage at Sea? Is it another? I was like, you guys about to be in the Bahamas again, man? What's going on? Like, there's a war going on outside. Like, what's going on?
Right? I was just like, I'll be honest, but yeah, I feel like I'm spending a lot of time on trying to say like sometimes like Eddie Kingston's really good at what he does, but eventually I have a feeling I'm gonna like it's gonna get old for me pretty soon when it's just like, hey man, I don't give a shit about winning. I give a shit about just fighting my heart out. Like you know what, you've been in the company long enough that you're not the underdog anymore. You're actually a legit guy we take seriously. So
you don't have to be the under. Yeah, you don't have to play the guy that. But I always get back up. Like we know.
Like dude.
Well, I think that kind of plays into what. I was gonna say that kind of plays into
my spot.
Yeah, it's like what, dude? You got a spot. Calm down. Like,
dude, you've been here for a fucking year and a half.
You're getting steady paychecks, Eddie. What's going on?
Your contract's more certain than Cody Rhodes's. So, like,
but it's like his character that he plays. It's like that's why it makes sense where Jericho's telling him like, oh, you're like scared of success. You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean. So I don't know.
Phobia.
But if they could have kind of made that a little bit, I guess, deeper for us to get, I don't know. Because now we're talking about it like what 3 days later. Right. But I also like the what did you make of the MJF segment?
I thought it was really good.
I thought it was great too. Yeah,
I kind of prefer if maybe CM Punk didn't come out and ask if it was true at the end. Like maybe if just like letting MJF walk out with
a single tear.
Maybe CM Punk comes up to the stage and then MJF just walks past him.
I think that would have been better instead of him like walking all the way. I'm like, why are you walking all the way down to the ring to this guy?
Yeah, but now it looks like it's 100% mind games, where it's like, if anything,
am I wrong to think that it's almost like they're trying to turn Punk heel?
Yeah, it seems like that, right?
Like it seemed really, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised at Revolution if we start the fans start not churning on Punk, but at least start rooting for MJF. Maybe MJF gets like a fiery comeback somewhere in the match, but then eventually he loses the heat because he does something to cheat,
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
No, yeah, it was a really, really great promo. that's where I started Dynamite by the time I got off of came home from work, and I was like, what is going on? I was like, why is he talking like he's like almost crying? And I'm like, and it just made you watch. He made you like even though that crowd was booing at times, like he made them listen, dude. Like he drew them in, and I gotta give kudos on that, dude, because I was like, usually they'd boo the shit out of him. That's the whole shtick. Like that's the fun in him coming out for the promo to begin with. He's gonna say some shit. So it's like, but for him to go to completely the other way, I didn't expect that. And not only that, you're waiting for him to, have that jackal smile and like, fool everybody, because we've seen that before from those like, chicken shit heels. No, dude, he just, you know what I mean? It was I thought it was a pretty amazing piece of work as far as like how young he is, you know what I mean? I thought that was a really great performance. So I felt like he just put a rocket on himself, to be honest. No lie.
I'm intrigued.
If he did already, but
like going back, like you believe Eddie Kingston's going over Chris Jericho, right? I would assume so at this point. Just
based on the way that, I was gonna say the way that Jericho chose to be like the heel in this and be like treat him like a nobody and talk down to him and shit. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so great. You want us to pay because you're doing the old. We're gonna go pay to see the pay-per-view because we want to see Jericho get his ass kicked because of what he said. You know what I mean? So it's like it makes sense. But
so the MJF CM Punk thing is a little bit more interesting because if MJF wins, then you could probably say like, all right, he deserves maybe even to take the title off Hangman Page next. If he loses and CM Punk goes over, you can say CM Punk might be able to face Hangman Page, which I'm not saying AEW necessarily has casual fans, but CM Punk versus Hangman's probably a more marquee matchup. But then you also could do the Wardlow versus MJF stuff, which, to be honest, I would much rather see than MJF go to the title picture right now.
I would like to see both of them face each other, and then the winner, like, basically Wardlow would, I don't know if he'd win. Would you have Wardlow win?
Okay.
I feel like the way I would set it up is I would have MJF and Wardlow, and then the winner of those two would be the number one contender to Hangman, right? And that, so you got that on the line, you got the crowd on, like, but then at the same time, I'm like, well, I don't know if that means that I would have Wardlow go over necessarily,
Would you have Wardlow win the Face of the Revolution ladder match?
Oh no, man.
Like it's MJF are facing for the.
Well, I feel like I feel like that's the way it would have to be set up, right? Because he was careful to plant that seed like almost a month ago, where he was like, telling them, I need you to stack wins, big man, because I need you to qualify for, and make sure you get in the face of the Revolution ladder match, and that way you can. Basically, he's trying to say like his shot is like his because it would be anything that's his possession is legally MJF's, is due to whatever the language is in the contract he has him under, because he's not under AEW contract, he's under contract with MJF. So I don't know. It's interesting, that, like I said, that they mentioned it. So it's like I could see him walking away with it and then having to fight with MJF about it later down the line for sure.
At Double or Nothing, that's a very good mid-card match. It is on the line. MJF gets the title match, right? He gets the title match of Hangman Page. On the other side, Wardlow gets his AEW contract.
Wait, actually, is it for the because isn't the Face of the Rev? Is it for
TNT?
I think cool because I remember the last one. It was Scorpio Sky, right? And he faced Darby, didn't he, for the TNT Championship, and he lost.
You know what? You might be right. I just feel like the Face of Revolution match would be for the main title.
Well, I mean, it would. I was gonna say that also it would make sense. On another note, if it's him versus Sammy, because they fucking hate each other, so that would be kind of a deep another deep feud that they can do. I mean, honestly, that would build both guys up, to be honest. So
I'm gonna look this up, but going back to my thing though, I would say Wardlow either gets his, and then he loses and he's still signed to MJF afterwards. You know what I mean? Like they can still kind of continue that heat, and then
unless Tony Khan's gonna come out and be like, well, I want to sign you.
Like, that'd be kind of cool too. It's just like, you know what, And then like Wardlow puts on a big match. He gets a standing applause. Tony Khan comes out. He's like, you know what? You're all elite, man. And then
Yeah, because I can see MJF doing the whole, telling him he's fired. You're
mm-hmm.
fired, big man. You're out of here. Bye bye.
And then it's like no chance in hell plays. And then Tony Khan comes out. Oh no, it's for a future TNT Championship match. That's kind of
That's what I was thinking.
You know what the funny thing is? I've heard that for like months or weeks now, and it just totally slipped my mind.
Well, the only because I just remember when Scorpio Sky wanted, he didn't get the shot at the big title. He got a shot at the mid card. So that's why I was thinking, well, it could be an interesting thing for. I mean, I wouldn't be against MJF as the TNT champion, but at the same time, do you think he's already ready for the AEW championship?
He's ready for it, but can I be honest with you?
Absolutely,
this is no fault of his own. They just signed like 4 or 5 people that I'd much rather have world title championship opportunities.
I agree, and I think it'd be too early for
if this was a year and a half ago when it was just kind of MJF, Cody, and the original crop of AEW guys, yeah, sure. But you can't bring CM Punk, Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, Keith Lee, possibly a Cesaro, maybe. You can't you can't
possibly
bring a bunch,
Swerve. I've been hearing
Swerve. Like you can't bring all these people in and then
and then
be satisfied.
Kenny Omega at some point returning,
I won't be satisfied that MJF got a title match before those guys. Like before CM Punk makes sense, especially if MJF beats him.
I mean, we'll see on the flip side with MJF being one of like the household names from the beginning, it would be almost kind of insulting if he didn't get one before them. But but on the experience and him building his name, I think if it was another year, I think in another year he would. I mean, especially because I don't know what's going to happen with Cody. But I mentioned to my brother with Cody gone, I'm like, look, I like again, fan of Cody's work, but with him out of the picture, that leaves a lot of space for a lot of other people to be able to kind of pick up the ball and showcase. You know what I mean? Right. So, and MJF, he just kind of hit one out the park on Wednesday. You know what I mean? So we'll see. His growth is entirely up to him as far as the rate is going to go, but. Definitely, obviously, I think he's deserving of a match, like you said, but maybe a little bit too early. So maybe the TNT Championship, if that's going to be in his future, that would be probably the better experiment. You know what I mean, so to speak. But
when MJF had the title match against John Moxley at All Out,
oh yeah,
I thought that was too early. But
I thought it was too early as well.
But it made sense based on the roster construction. But I just felt like it was too early based on.
And that was that. Pre-pandemic or during the pandemic?
During the pandemic.
That's why I figured. Yeah.
And this time around, it's like, he could do it, especially because he's already had a shot before. He's already taken out some of these main event guys. But I'll be honest with you, if you're gonna have Hangman drop the title to MJF, because Hangman's lost a lot of his heat. Let's just be honest. Like I like him a lot, but he's lost a lot of his heat.
I've been talking to my brother about that because that's a whole other issue we could talk about. It's how they've been booking him. Like I don't understand why they've been putting, like, I get the importance of making the executives happy or whoever they have to make happy for the network and all that with the TNT Championship, the TBS Championship, and all that. But to me, it's crazy that the world champion is not ending the show. Not, whether it's a promo, a segment, a match. Yeah. He has been like within the first hour or the top of the next hour. You know what I mean? Every single time. And it's like most of the time it'll be like some multi-man match or some high profile TNT match that they hype the whole week for. And it's like, dude, you're making him not feel as important. I don't understand that. Your guys' he's the new, people are already used to who Kenny Omega is as a world champion, multi-champion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Multi-decorated. This is a new guy at a new level. We need to be showcasing this guy, dude. Like, what is going on? Like he's off TV like almost 2 weeks at a time. I don't know if that's by design or by choice, of his own. Maybe he needs to take care of stuff at home with his family, which is, I don't know. I totally respect that. You know what I mean? But from a push standpoint, I don't know what they were doing with them. I mean, I thought we talked about the Texas Death Match. It was good for him, but okay, but what's next for him? And then it's like, okay, it's him and Adam Cole, which again, I think that's way too early as well, because, what'd you do? Beat a bunch of nobodies 10 nobodies. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Like, come on, dude. Like,
there's quite a few people too that you could easily
say deserve before he does.
yeah,
Like that been yeah.
and they did a great job of him beating Kenny Omega,
Yeah, they did.
then having the two matches against Bryan Danielson. And it was like, oh, this is gonna be a decent title run, right?
Yeah.
But then the Lance Archer stuff kind of derailed it, and then now they're doing this Adam Cole, like yeah, like you said, like yeah, you beat the best friends, who gives a shit, like so
yeah, right. It's like you beat all four of them. That's great. Like
dude, like so
and Jake Atlas. I'm sorry, dude. Like okay.
So like yeah, and the thing is like Adam Cole has his own history, so it's gonna help, and it's gonna be a really good match. But like going back to the MJF thing, like if you're just gonna have Adam Page drop it to MJF, I don't think that's enough for MJF. I think MJF needs to win it off of a much bigger name like Bryan Danielson and CM Punk. So like if he loses a CM Punk this next coming month, but then he beats CM Punk for the title in a year and a half or something, that would be a big deal for MJF because of who he won it from. I just don't think winning it from Hangman, like yeah, people like Hangman, but you're not.
Yeah, it's not as big as a scalp, I guess. In other words, for him to put on the shelf, like if it's, I mean, and that's not no disrespect. It's just again the way that they've been booking him, and I think he needs like we talked about it last summer. Maybe every 2 weeks he's doing an open challenge and like just showcasing the hell out of him. So I mean, I think like a high profile feud with like somebody like Moxley would be good for him. I was kind of, I don't know what's going on with Cody, but I thought maybe him and Cody would be good as well. But of course, he couldn't challenge for it. But who knows what they could have done?
When we thought Cody was turning heel, and before all this stuff came out, and even I'll be honest with you, if you were to do our Booker idea that we came up with at the beginning of the show, and then Cody booked himself all out against Hangman and won the title, that's a heel move, and that still keeps Hangman at a place where I'm like, hey man, the fans don't like that. We like Hangman, but it also keeps Cody being a massive heel.
Yeah.
But so Cody would have been perfect. Actually, Cody would have been perfect for Revolution if they just figured that out. He dropped the TNT title. If you're able to work out the contract thing, and maybe in his new contract, hey, it's a brand new contract. The old contract's old. Cody could now face for a major title.
Well, I mean, what he could have done is I mean, he's like, it's no secret since he was shooting like that one promo, like he could have been like, since it's no secret, like I'm not on paper right now. I guess that old stipulations are null and void, because it's like, how can I be held to a stipulation when I'm not even with the company technically? I'm only here because I'm agreeing to be here. So it's like, as far as I'm concerned, that means that I can call the shots in my next shot, and then before I sign a contract. He could have done it that way. Before I sign a contract at AEW, I want to face Hangman Page.
Yeah,
easy, man. Can we get a paycheck, Brian?
And then Cody would have probably been content, and maybe he would have re-signed with the company for less money, because he's like, well, I'm getting a world title match, I'm in the big, and he would have.
But I don't want to be a heel. Fuck you, Cody. Dude, come on, man. Like, you don't have like.
So I understand a little bit of why, because apparently it's because he does a lot of charitable work and he doesn't want to be a heel because he does the charitable work.
I get it, but
Brandy is acting like a heel every time she's on the mic.
Yeah, and acting like the stereotypical angry black woman that's not representative of everyone. But because it's always like the bad, how it is, the bad apple in the whole bunch. So it's like, oh yeah, that's exactly. Oh yeah, the one who started heels. This is her.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Brandy was one of my least favorite characters on TV, and it's just because she's. If I could be honest with you, it just never felt like she felt like, because of who she was, she could just go out there and cut any promo and have any match, and it just felt like
the way she would just walk out there and be like, just turn it on a little bit and be like, okay, I feel like at first you're like, oh, okay. Well, you're like, all right, now this is coming off like a little bit entitled, right? Like, do you know who you fucking with? Kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the one sleeping with the, yeah. I mean, that's not what she's saying, but that's kind of how it's coming off, right? Like,
It's super Stephanie McMahon, and I don't think anyone's ever
Yeah.
liked Stephanie McMahon.
Again, the McMahon Helmsley like the real, yeah, it's I don't know.
It's funny because like even when the Authority was a big deal in the WWE, I'm not people still kind of popped when Triple H's music hit. Like
Yeah.
they still kind of popped. Like and
I
then
mean, you remember when Triple H was in the ring and he did he was dancing with New Day because they had like New Day were like heels, but like they were popping for that. Like I think him and Stephanie were dancing to shit. So I was like,
but when Stephanie's whack ass music hit, everyone was just like,
oh god. Yeah, but it's okay. But so I had the perfect argument against Cody. So I mean, I get Brand. I mean, again, we're talking about how Brandy's like has all these charitable things, but she's over here. Oh, how about a black bitch? And all this other shit, all this cringe-worthy shit. You know what I mean? Like, okay, if Cody has a bunch, he's worried about being a heel and having all these charitable things. What about Kane?
Yeah.
What I hear, Kane has granted almost as many make-a-wishes as John Cena at one point. Mm-hmm. But he's Kane. He burns people. He puts car batteries to people's testes. That's that guy.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, dude. Like, give me a break.
And he's the biggest heel now. He's a conservative.
I'm like, and then let me ask you this: you think that Triple H wasn't doing Make-a-Wishes when he was like?
Well, I'm sure everyone.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't know, dude. Like but yeah, I think we saw the problem. If you wanted to really, I mean, that way we could have got him the fuck out of the TNT Championship picture. Bring Miro back. I want to see him and Keith Lee go at it, but that's a whole nother wish list item. Maybe, hey, I'm praying that maybe he'll return because this is what I heard. He was injured. I heard he tore something. I don't know which match it was. I think the match with Brian. And so I heard he's cleared, but they just waiting to see what they're gonna do. But if that was me, I'd book them Wednesday right before the Sunday, the pay-per-view, and give him a qualifying. Because can you imagine? Ricky Starks is the only like small guy in the
right,
but it's like what Keith Lee, Hobbs, Wardlow, and Ricky Cassidy. Starks. And Orange Cassidy's in it.
Yeah,
was it on Rampage?
Yeah, it happened on Rampage. And
who'd he beat?
One of the guys from the Acclaimed, I believe.
Max Caster.
No, the other one.
Oh, Anthony Bowens.
Yeah.
Oh.
Dude, can the Acclaimed are just I can't do it. Apparently,
okay. Look, I like them, but I know you're talking about the recent
Vladimir Putin one and stuff like that.
Come on,
like,
dude.
You just can't do that right now, dude.
Dude, what are you doing?
Like don't do the gimmick if you can't read an audience. Like, I'm just being real about it. Like,
it's an asshole thing to do. It really is. Yeah. Like, it's like, I don't know. It doesn't do anything for you, your character, the company. It doesn't enhance the show for anybody that's, paid a ticket to see it, to be there and experience the actual live event. It does nothing. It like, it's not heat, bro. That's stupid. Yeah. Like, come on, man. Like, yeah, dude. Like, it's just common sense, bro. Like that. And I don't know if there's going to be any fallout from that. I've only saw one report about it, so I haven't really, I guess, allegedly, right? So if it's substantiated, but still, I'm like, dude, come on, man. That's I don't have, we shouldn't even be talking about it. We shouldn't even have to be talking about it because it shouldn't even be a thing. You know what I mean? That's just dumb. Speaking of dumb,
it's funny because I kind of feel bad that we just went on here, talk shit about Brandy Rhodes, and then just like moved on.
Well, I mean, okay, so thanks. You know what? Thanks for bringing that up because we were talking about it earlier, and that's when I was like, "Oh, let's just start the record." Me and my brother were talking about that. There was like these reports that she wasn't very well liked, very well received, whatever. But then there was a lot of AEW people that actually came out and were like, "Dude, that's bullshit." She was very well liked, and it was Red Velvet, Nyla Rose, Jade, I believe, Sunny Kiss, Leva Bates. But then we pointed out, I'm like, I mean, but these are like all her people, like all her friends, like, you know what I mean? Like people that she's known, like she was with the Nightmare Collective with I think one of them, right? But I know Red Velvet actually trained with at the Nightmare Factory. I'm like, these are probably people that you all talk to on a regular basis while you were there. You know what I mean? So
I think
notice it was none of the I mean, outside of Sunny, right? But respectfully, I don't want to, disrespect the pronouns. But none of the male locker rooms spoke up at all. Like, no, she's cool. Nothing. It was just them. Vicky Guerrero was the other one. Yeah, Vicky Guerrero.
I do think the Cody Island stuff kind of rubs off a little bit, where it's just like, all right, not only did, if I could be honest with you, we kind of felt Cody was like a little entitled toward the end of this AEW run. But we probably got that vibe at the very beginning of AEW that was like, why is Brandy getting all this TV time? And like someone's had to have a conversation with her backstage, like, hey, to be honest, X, Y, and Z wrestler is a little better. They should be getting the TV time and not this Nightmare Collective thing.
I mean,
and the thing is, I don't want to crap because, like, to be honest, I do think she's a very good like manager / I think role for
but see,
Cody.
The thing is, she wants to wrestle so bad, and I don't understand it. Like,
yeah,
like you don't have to prove anything. And maybe that's why she thinks she's trying to gain people's respect, because they just think that she's like, again, like this perception that she's not very well liked in the way she carries herself. Maybe she's, but I don't know. It's almost like that's why it was interesting to me when I heard about the potential offer from WWE, but it didn't include Brandy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or what was her name back in the day? She used to be I'm trying to remember. I got to look that up.
But yeah, and you can tell like that's WWE. Like, we're not going to bring a dead weight contract on. Like, I'm not saying she's dead weight, but the thing is, like, the WWE doesn't have plans for her. They have plans for Cody.
Wow. Even Brandy Rhodes on her Wikipedia says American professional wrestler.
She probably wrestles better than I ever would, but
yeah, I mean, look, like, I'm not talking shit or anything like about. It's just, I thought it was just the fact that she's not naturally a wrestler, and the fact that, like you said, she can very well, be just a mouthpiece for somebody. I don't know. It's very interesting.
But she didn't even. If I could,
Eden Styles. Man. I forgot. I was like, is her name Eve or something? I was like, Eden Styles.
Even if that was the case, she's still not even that good of a mouthpiece.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like she would have been a better mouthpiece for Nyla Rose than Vicky Guerrero.
All right, yeah, I'll give you that. I
think that probably would have been a better fit for her, especially because they're already like they actually have a relationship with each other outside of the off the screen. Because probably would have been better. Yeah,
the character was already there. Cody Rhodes has been doing dumb shit all year, falling through flaming tables and stuff. All she has to do is legitimately look concerned, and then trying to talk Cody out of certain things. And then Cody goes out and does them anyways. And that even makes Cody look kind of interesting and cool too. Like, that's all you have to do is just be like, hey, Cody, you're putting yourself through a lot of stuff that's kind of stupid. I would appreciate if you didn't. And that's your
we have a child now. I need you to come home alive.
We have a reality show, we
have investments on the table, Cody. We need to keep the bacon coming home. Calm down. Right. Yeah, that'd be. I mean, if we can get more of that on the actual reality show, then we might actually watch it, right?
It probably is on the reality show.
I watched the first 2 episodes, and then I went on living my life, as they say. I just didn't remember. Like, it wasn't like, well, I guess not that I didn't remember. They kind of like were shoving it in our face all the time. So I'm like, no, I'm cool. I'm all right. And then it just didn't do them any favors with like the weird promos he was cutting at the time, with him trying to cure racism.
If you want to watch Homelander, just watch The Boys on Amazon Prime.
Season 3 is, I think it's coming in the summer. They're doing something.
It's like June. I think it's June. But there's going to be like an anime.
Yeah, it's like what is it called? Like
D something.
D something. Yeah, I was like, it's not like, I can't remember. I do remember, but I can't remember. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, Homelander did it better. It's just weird because everybody was like saying, "Oh, it's him that's going to show up and be Miz's partner against the Mysterios." I'm like, why? They don't really have a relationship.
If Cody Rhodes did not take,
that's a horrible debut, by the way.
If Cody Rhodes signed with WWE to be in that match, I would have been like, dude, what are you doing? like, were you promised something? Like, if you don't trust Tony
getting this
Khan,
WrestleMania cheddar, dog.
Because it's like I understand recency bias that you're probably not cooler with Tony Khan, but at least Tony Khan allowed you to do your own thing, and you actually had matches with like Malachi Black and stuff like that. Like you're gonna go to the WWE and have a match with the Miz against the Mysterios. Come on,
Not against the Miz, with
like
the Miz. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the pre-show match at Backlash, dude.
Well, dude, see,
Like,
but see, this is what I'm thinking too. Like, I like because like if he does go to like WWE, I'm sorry. Like, I like Cody, and he's done a lot of work to build his name since leaving. I give him all that credit in the world. You know what I mean? Got to check off. I don't know if he checked off all the names off his list, but he checked off a lot of names off that list, right? That he made. But is he gonna be in a ring with Brock Lesnar and I expect him to win? No. You know what I mean? Just the way that they've built Brock. I don't know how they're gonna want to like book Cody there just because it's like they're not gonna just jump out a window and like pretend like, you know, I mean, because you know what I mean? Like they're not gonna give him free reign to talk. It's like he's not gonna be able to like cut a promo and say what the things the way he wants to say it. I don't think, because he's always peeling the curtain back every time he cuts a fucking promo. Anyways, you know what I mean?
if Triple H was healthy, I think that would have been an interesting matchup just based on the NXT stuff.
Yeah,
it
maybe
would
him.
also it would
Maybe him.
also
I don't
be
want to see him and Sean.
it would also be very underwhelming, but just to be like maybe even taking a shot at AEW is Cody Rhodes goes in and beats Braun Breaker for the NXT championship.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, that's right. We're gonna beat him on Tuesdays.
WWE, you know, WWE's huge push.
Everybody was like, oh, they're gonna offer him a creative position with NXT. I'm like, oh my god, why? So he can go head to head with Tony. I'm like, come on, dude. Come on.
I'll be honest with you though, just to throw it out there. He is somebody, if the WWE handled this right, being that he's an outside name, he could dethrone Roman Reigns. It won't happen.
That's what I was thinking. Like he can, if they were to really build him correctly, he could really be the guy. Just based on, again, impact, current surrounding popularity versus again public opinion, but a lot of hype either way. You know what I mean? Mania season is hot. Anything can happen. That's the thing. It's like there's a lot of mystique in the air outside. I mean, usually, again, outside the normal stuff we were talking about earlier with the WrestleMania card shaping up. But that could be just the one to, like, you know, you just never know. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, like they could really do something. But again, WWE, and you know, I got to be real. Usually when they have a moment to do something correctly or do something right, they kind of fumble the bag a lot of times.
To be honest, because there's nobody. The way you got to look at it with the Roman Reigns situation is you're either building a guy to take it off of him, and right now the only person that they're building would be like Austin Theory, right? And then maybe Braun Breaker. So those are the only two that you're building maybe to take the title off Roman at some point. Outside of that, you got to look at a lateral move of somebody who's in the main event scene.
You said Breaker and who else?
Austin Theory, right? Those are the only.
I mean, the only other person I would think is just Rollins, but
I was gonna say, like, you would think laterally in the main event scene, and like who's
aside from the okay, I see what you're saying.
So it'd probably be Styles, Rollins. That's about it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Edge.
I mean, Owens had a hell of a rivalry, but you know,
just resigned. Maybe if Sami Zayn and eventually got enough heat, but I don't think the WWE looks at him that way. So Cody Rhodes is the outlier to both of those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why it's like,
and you talk about like what would be a needle mover too.
Yeah.
I mean, no pun intended with the
if the WWE if the WWE unifies those titles and the WWE puts a world title on Cody before AEW did,
man, I mean, honestly, that's a way better black eye.
Yeah.
Than any war, right? Like I feel like that's a hell of a message.
And you might think that Cody Rhodes is not. Cody Rhodes is not this, I guess, like, you know, he's not profile name, but the thing is, he's got the Rhodes last name, and he's been on reality shows and stuff like that. I mean, he can
he's around. I mean, they use a lot of his dad's stuff. I don't know if he can negotiate some of like retaining some of that IP.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Since he, there's a lot of leverage there for him. Yeah.
So, like, if the thing is, Vince McMahon's spiteful enough to be like, you know what? Let's pull the trigger on Cody beating Roman at SummerSlam or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's not insane. And that's if the WWE could just long-term book that match. It's just I don't see it happening. That's why I think like there's a tiny month of Cody Rhodes getting his WrestleMania moment. It's not going to be for a title. It's not going to be the main event.
Yeah.
It could be Edge. But there's a tiny moment. But if I could pull back the curtain, what's the difference between what Cody Rhodes could do at this Mania than him facing Rey Mysterio 10 years ago? Like
I was thinking, I was like, I was like, if it wasn't the Rey Mysterio match, I was like, didn't he have that tables match with Big Show or something too?
Something like that, I believe.
Something like weird, like where he just stepped through it. He didn't even really like put him through it. But I mean, but it's not him in the Miz. I hope not.
and if they don't, and if Cody's not happy in 6 months, which 6 months from now would be SummerSlam, maybe he could opt out of his contract.
Man, hopefully he'd be able to just walk away. Shit. I mean, if they want him that bad, they're gonna have to agree to something. But
if I'm Cody, it's you put the world title on me within 6 months. I understand you had this Brock Lesnar match. Fine. I'll face the Edge or something at Mania, or I'll come back to Raw after Mania, whatever. Then by SummerSlam,
let's just hope he doesn't immediately he's not immediately putting a feud with fucking Dolph Ziggler.
Right?
That's what they usually do. The gatekeeper.
By SummerSlam, I need the world title. If I don't get the world title by SummerSlam, I'm opting out. Like that's what I would say. Because the thing is, even if they have Cody drop it at the next pay-per-view after that, Cody could at least add an accolade to his resume saying he's a former WWE champion. And I think like you don't go back to the WWE unless you want that. Like he's already won all the mid-card titles.
Shit.
He's already reinvented the Intercontinental title.
No, dude, that's actually a great point because then now he can go back. If he wants to leave, he can go back to the AEW as a former WWE champion worth the fucking money.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it like that.
Like you don't do it unless you do. If not, just go to New Japan, dude. Just go to New Japan.
I mean, because but when, again, like you're saying, like you get that accolade, the price go up. It really does. So that's real interesting. I mean, honestly, I can't think of anything else to talk about except for one thing. I am a little sad that we didn't have Mac on to talk about this because I did want to get his opinion. The reemergence of Hit Row without Swerve, all three members, the Adonis or Shanti, the Adonis, B-Fab, and was it Top Dollar? They are now known as the Hit Makers with a Z, and I was just like, that's a producer team. They like produce like a lot of Dipset shit like all the time. I'm like, they say their name and Heat Makers. But I'm not thrilled on the name, but I guess they're gonna be showing up.
Do you think they Googled it?
I don't know.
Do you think they Googled the name before they came up with it?
I mean, I think that AJ Francis, being a rapper, knows exactly what he was doing and just said, well, we're wrestling, so we're not rapping, we're wrestling, it's different. You know what I mean? So who knows, man? I mean, it's one of those things where again, maybe it'll grow on me, but they're supposed to be showing up at GCW for the culture, so we'll see how that turns out. I don't know how they're going to be, because I heard that Swerve has mentioned something about reunions in the past, but for me, I'm like, please just do your own thing because you're real hot right now. Like you got a lot of eyes on you right now. So
why would you tie yourself? This is gonna be
that's how I feel.
Like, but
no. That it's as real as it is. That's like nothing against as a collective on a show that's sports entertainment based. It was great. But now that you're back on the indies, worth way more, getting more recognition than you ever got being over there on a main roster because you got hired and dumped in like what, not even a full month, dude. So it's like the fact that your stock is so high and people have their eyes on you in multiple companies, there's interests that are just peaking. No, bro, you need to be selfish. 100%.
Yeah. Like
100%.
If I could be
Don't
honest,
let them eat off you, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that. I could see if they became really close, and he's like, man, I could use my leverage to help them get paid too. I would like to do it, but
make them work the indies the same as you did, because all of them are manufactured from that fucking factory at the fucking performance center, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them was working. The indies.
Yeah.
They all just got, you know what I mean? So yeah, let them get on their grind and see what it's about, because they got to do their own thing. He's already a known name. So yeah, I feel you 100%. Hottest take for sure. I don't, hey, shoot the messenger. I'll be a human Operation Human Shield for you, Brian. I'll take it, because it is what it is, man. Like I feel you 100%. Like it's one of those things where stuff like this doesn't happen often. You're hot. Right. You need to, you know what I mean? So he's over here already doing stuff with Defy, doing stuff with New Japan already. I keep hearing rumors that it's all but, just a date or a debut until he's all elite, supposedly. I mean, shit's crazy right now.
And then there's one more spot in the Face of the Revolution ladder match, but I'm not saying.
Are they going to do that surprise shit again? Don't they always like?
Maybe
they haven't announced it, right?
They have one more. They have one more week left, so maybe. Who do you have Keith Lee losing the Face of the Revolution ladder match? Because the thing is, you could protect a loss in a ladder match, I feel like.
Oh yeah, because it's a multi-man match. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect Keith Lee to win.
I personally want Wardlow. I think Wardlow.
Wardlow out of everyone deserves it. Or to be honest, I think Hobbs would be good. I do like, I'm and that's me being biased, because I like Hobbs. I feel like every time I watch him, he gets better and better and better. He's like one of the few like homegrown talents that AEW has produced, and he's done well in the role that they've given him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think every time he has a match, I watch, and again, I think he's really good. If he were to win, I wouldn't be mad at it. Ricky Starks also wouldn't be mad at either, because he can finally get rid of that other belt that doesn't mean shit if he wanted to actually try to, because that's the thing that I think that they've been missing in the TNT picture is variety. Like, yeah, it's cool. It's cool to get the multi champions in there, right? Between like the Darbys and the Sammy Guevara's and the Cody's, but I mean, there's other people that are liable contenders, man. Like again, like Ricky Starks, like. Obviously there's like the Jungle Boys, you know what I mean? I mean, Christian, even though, yeah, he's a little bit older, but I mean, him being a workhorse, it would make sense for him to carry like their somewhat TV title. I mean, there's a lot of guys like Pac. I mean, why hasn't Pac, gotten that shot? Lance Archer could be a guy that could never be beaten for that title. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys that can do good for that title.
Pentagon or Phoenix, if they're not gonna do anything tag team related.
I mean, Moxley, Eddie Kingston, fucking Jake Hager could have had that title, him being a fucking beast. You know what I mean?
And to be honest too, like it wouldn't hurt to let a main event guy win the title and hold it for 5-6 months, just to give it a little bit more absolutely a little bit more of a stock, especially if you're going to consider it the 1B to the world title, which it doesn't feel like 1B. They say it is, but it doesn't feel that way.
No,
because you could say like, well, Cody Rhodes was a main event guy, but like he really wasn't. So like,
yeah. I mean, because he couldn't be.
Yeah,
because of some stupid.
So to be honest, they still haven't allowed for like a main event person to go down. Like, to be honest, I don't know, but like if Adam Cole's
another guy. He's another guy that can hold it.
So like if you went into never mind. This is too WWE. I'm not even
He said, let me pull back. Let me pull back.
I know you're like, no, I was gonna say, because like the Face of the Revolution match is already there kind of for the TNT opportunity. So you don't necessarily need a TNT title match at the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, why don't you just had Adam Cole win it like a month and a half ago, and then he faces Adam Page and winner gets both belts, and then Adam Page.
Try to do the I see what you're saying. I mean, I think it'd be too early to do a double champion angle for sure. For some reason, I don't know why.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's too WWE. You know,
Like I can see him doing it, but I think it's just because they're still like in the what was this, the third year that they're in. Jay Lethal, that's another one. Swerve could be. See, Swerve could be another guy, especially if he were to come in and immediately get that TNT title. Oh, dude.
Do you know how much hype you would build for the pay-per-view if the team
and Tony, I'm sorry, and Tony Khan would definitely buy the rights to his song. Like, yeah, it would. People would be hyped.
Like you know how hyped it would be that if Sammy Guevara announced that he's gonna do an open challenge at the pay-per-view, and then people are starting to speculate who it is.
Yeah.
And then that person goes to win the TNT championship in the first match, Shane Strickland. Like
that'd be dope. And then the interesting thing about that would also be the fact that you'd have to see who would win the face of the Revolution. Like who's going to be that, if he wins, who would be his immediate opponent? You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think Sammy needs to take a little bit of time off because this dude's he is killing himself out there, man.
It's just, to me, okay. What Sammy brings to the table is he could take a loss. So whoever you really want to be TNT champion in the next 4 to 5 months, you could have Sammy take that L to whoever it is. Like, for example, if you do put it on someone like Shane Strickland, then you don't really want him to lose right away.
Yeah.
So the Face of the Revolution match is kind of pointless, right? So I could see the catch-22 there. But Sammy, I love Sammy, but like I said, like he's already held the title. He's got he won the interim title. He's now got 2 titles, 2 TNT titles.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Cody should never even taken the title off of him in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know what
all it does is make me go, with this title reign. It's just I'm glad you're having dope Rampage matches, but
yeah, but it's still like if I didn't get it, I'm not like necessarily like lost.
Yeah, to be honest, like I like that. There's plenty of people in this roster that I'm like, all right, let's freshen it up.
And that's how I feel because you got a lot, like what we call a log jam of talent. And it's like, I know you don't have time for everyone, but you can definitely switch out some faces, start doing a little bit of rotation, some healthy rotation with, like, again, so we can see a little bit, like if it's an open challenge, we don't always have to bring in this free agent when you have other guys that have been on the roster that haven't been on TV yet or haven't been on TV consistently or fighting at a main event level. Like, I mean, I always thought Scorpio Sky would be a great TNT champion just based on the way that he likes to wrestle, but they got him doing this other shit with Lambert, and I can't even, who's like, I guess helping to manage Lance Archer now all of a sudden. I don't know, dude.
And to be honest too, like, this might gimmick the belt a little bit too much, but it should just be the working title. Like, it should be the one that there maybe has to be a role. It doesn't matter if it's Dynamite or Rampage, but it has to be defended once every 7 days. You know what I mean?
I agree, because that's how it was back in ECW.
Like that's the rule. It has to be defended once every 7 days. I love that idea. And so it doesn't matter. So like it can either be an open challenge or you announce it ahead of time, but it has to be. And you could even do a segment on Rampage where Sammy goes to the ring at the end of Rampage and says, "Hey, I need to defend this title before the night's over." And then somebody just comes out, they have a match, And then
I see it. That's even better because that makes it more unpredictable.
Yeah, and then maybe one day we get Hook, and Hook comes out.
Dude, I didn't even think about Hook, dude. Fuck, that's another guy. That would be, man. That's a good one, man. That's definitely a good.
Imagine Hook just having like a 365-day title reign with the TNT Championship, and then and
that's it.
That's it.
And that's it. And we're done. And we're
yeah.
Oh man. You know what? I want to thank you again, Brian, for taking your time, man. We always love doing what we do here at the Flow Show, man. It's always for the love of wrestling for real, not just the namesake, man. You can always do what you do, and that's support and follow us at Flow Wrestling Pod and at Flow Wrestling Show on Twitter and Instagram, and always check in with us on YouTube. We're going to be dropping an episode every 2 weeks, so always check in and see what is the hottest takes of the week because as you can tell, we're gonna keep it 100.
And the thing about the flow show too, just going back to the name, like the show just flows, right? We
Yeah.
don't like, oh, we're gonna talk about this now. We're gonna talk like we just generally flow, and everything brings every storyline that's going in together.
I had screenshots that I was getting ready to do, and then all of a sudden I was like, I'm just gonna ask about this WrestleMania shit, and I'm like, that's not even in my like. I started slowly deleting everything, and I was like, oh, I can talk about that at the end. But man, yeah, dude, definitely love doing this, man.
Yeah.
I guess see you in 2 weeks, sir.
Yeah,
and I guess we'll talk about is it Revolution?
Yeah, it's Revolution.
We'll talk about Revolution. I guess we're gonna have to start bringing back the flowchart every.
Yeah.
We'll see what's going on. Maybe we'll have we'll see if we could get back or another rotating third. But until then, this has been the Flow Show. We'll see you in a couple weeks, guys. We out.